Blog Talk Radio.
It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route.
Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past.
The death of bin Laden marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat Al-Qaeda.
All you got to do is start looking around, start thinking for yourself, start investigating things, and you will see it all right there. So you have the power. Humanity has the power. We have the power. Do you want to fight? You better believe you got one.
Let us never tolerate outrageous conspiracy
You have reached the voicemail box of 33623555237. At the tone, please record your voice message.
The answer
when you are finished
in
recording, you may hang up or
is
press pound for more options.
1776.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. We have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
George Bush has invoked a new world order without enunciating a new American purpose.
Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order, and instead it looks like we got a lot of disorder.
Today we take an essential step in defeating terrorism while protecting the constitutional rights of all Americans. Preventing mass terror will be the responsibilities of presidents far into the future.
The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. These are not simply words written into aging parchment. They are the foundation of liberty and justice in this country.
This is an ideological battle. Some people believe in globalism, others of us believe in national sovereignty. It's a contest between ideologies, whether we believe in our institutions here, our national sovereignty, our Constitution, or are we going to further move in the direction of international government? It's just knowledge is out there. If we look for it, you'll realize that our national sovereignty is under threat.
councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
In Dallas, Texas, 3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in downtown Dallas. The first reports say that President Kennedy has been seriously wounded by this shooting.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
It was almost as if it were a planned implosion. It just pancaked.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
But I also believe that a lot of gun owners would agree that AK-47s belong in the hands of soldiers, not in the hands of criminals.
All right, everybody. Joseph Gibson here on Blog Talk Radio, live from Greensboro, North Carolina. I hope everybody's doing well out there tonight. A lot to talk about. I've invited a lot of people to come onto the program, and we'll see if they take that challenge or not. Most people they hide behind their computer screen, their flat screen TVs, and their iPhones and whatnot, because that's what we live in today, a cowardly society that has no moral background or any foundation to stand on. We see that every day. No matter who you deal with out there, we live in a cowardly society, and I see that more often than more. I'm from up north. I live here in North Carolina, and you bitch slap somebody down here, I'll call the law on you. So that it's just this is how we live in America today, and we allow these criminal politicians to walk all over us, knowingly knowing that the Federal Reserve controls everything. Look. Those poor government workers that are out of work. Aw, too bad. Too bad, isn't it? You mean to tell me you're going to miss one paycheck and now all your bills are due and you're screwed? And now you're in big trouble? Well, shame on you for living paycheck to paycheck when you get 5 weeks vacation a year, 18 sick days, and 9 paid holidays, and all the perks and benefits, all the free health care and everything else. And what is the definition of a government worker? We know what government workers are. And I was listening to some people. They did a story, of course, on the corporate fake news media down here in North Carolina about the federal prison guards. No, they're not correctional officers. They're guards. They don't correct anything, okay, about the federal prison. We got to come to work and deal with inmates for free now. Well, I'll tell you what. Turn the lights off, release all the inmates, because 98% of them don't belong there to begin with. And you know what? The other 2%, we the people will handle. Okay? We got our guns. We got our food. We the people that are awake, who understand what's going on, can survive. And we can rely on our neighbor and our brothers and sisters out there for people that are awake. We don't need your socialist crap, Nancy Pelosi, and all the other maggot Democrats out there. We don't need that crap. Socialism does not work. Okay? I don't want to hear Trump's a racist and all that, but I'm going to say one thing I'm going to disagree with. They say now Trump can declare the Emergency Powers Act to build the wall. That's a very slippery slope, okay, because that's unconstitutional. A president cannot declare a national emergency, okay? We the people own the government. We're a republic. That's what we're supposed to be. But we know we were hijacked in 1871 after the Civil War and the Reconstruction Acts, blah, 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 and then the Emergency Powers Act of 1933. And then I readdressed this on Thanksgiving weekend, and when I read it, the last time they addressed it, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the criminals, I read it to you on Thanksgiving night when we did a show. And they do have the authority to do that, but it's not constitutional, okay? The president can't declare a national emergency. The governor of a state can't declare a state emergency just because of some bad weather. That's all a bunch of crap. But you, the stupid sheep, believe it. oh, God, well, I support Trump, so therefore that's a good thing, right? No, it's a bad thing. There should never be martial law in this country. The government does not own us. We do not serve the government. The government serves us, we the people. And when they no longer serve us, we should abolish it and alter it. Oh, I'm sorry you're not going to get your prescription medications. I'm sorry. That's really killing you anyway. I'm sorry you can't sniff your cocaine that the government ships into this country. I'm sorry you can't stick a needle up your rear end because Afghanistan, that's why we took over Afghanistan to secure the poppy seeds and the poppy plants. And that's why we have an opioid crisis in America now. Does anyone ever wonder about that? 30 years ago, people weren't dying from snorting pills. Okay? Well, actually, in the 1960s, they were getting it from South Vietnam and North Vietnam, but that's another story, and there's true stories written about that. But the real story about Afghanistan is our troops, look, folks, I've spoken to them. I know it. They guard the poppy fields, okay? The Taliban wasn't cooperating. We supplied the Taliban with the guns during the early 90s and in the 70s and early 80s to fight the Soviets. And then the Taliban was to cooperate with us in their heroin fields, okay? Well, they call them poppy fields out there. All right? That's what it's all about, folks. And then the Caspian oil pipeline. Look it up. Look it up. All you got to do is do your own research. Stop going on Facebook talking crap and talking nonsense. And look it up. Stop taking selfies. Look at me, everybody, because that's what the world is all about. Well, we the people are awake. We are the Republic, okay? And I support the Republic, and they are waiting. And the militias will form like they did in 1776, and we're going to end up in a civil war again. That's what's going to happen. It's bound to happen. History always repeats itself. The only lesson men learn from history is that history always repeats itself. In essence, that's called deja vu because we don't learn from history. We don't learn. It may take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 100 years. It doesn't matter, okay? But the fact of the matter is we got zombies out there running around that are all medicated up with the prescription drugs and all the chemicals and all the poison in the food, and they're all walking around shopping at Walmart. Walmart takes care of me. They saved me $10. Now I can pay for my internet bill instead of supporting the working man, the small business owner out there, the backbone of this country that built this country for what it stands for and what it is, the small man, the little man. And then, I'll go a speeding ticket today. It's going to cost me $750. Well, if you knew how to argue it in court, if you would stand up and maybe a couple thousand of your friends on Facebook or Twitter would stand up and know that the courts are all corporate illegal systems that only abstract money from you to enter into their slush funds so that politicians can live in 25,000 square foot houses, you would understand and wake up. And then you'll go deeper. 9/11 was an inside job. They blew the towers up. We're not going to get into that big story here tonight. I explained it many times on this radio show. We know why they blew up the towers, okay? The jet fuel did not burn down the towers and make it collapse like a pancake, like a demolition job. Fact. And you can debate it all you want. Well, what about the terrorists that flew the planes into the building? Well, they weren't from Afghanistan. So why did we go to war in Afghanistan? They were Saudi Arabians. So why didn't we go and attack Saudi Arabia, you dumb sheep? Well, I don't know. President Bush said it was the Taliban in Afghanistan. Duh. You know, and this is what I'm saying. Is it's a big circle. It's a big deck of cards, and people don't understand it. But here we are. We're blaming the Jews. The Jews control everything. The Jews in Israel, they control everything. You know, why do we got to support a little tiny country like Israel? Well, why should we support a little tiny country called Palestine? How about that? Right back at you. Let me put the ball back in your court. Why should we support a tiny little country like Palestine? Palestine. Who is a Palestinian? Do your historical research. The American Indian. Who the hell's an Indian? They were all cutting each other's head off, scalping each other, and nobody talks about that in history class. Actually, they don't even teach civics anymore, or real U.S. history in high schools or schools around the country anymore. But, you know, the white man came and he took over the Indians' land. Imagine if the Indians were in control right now. There wouldn't be what? Nothing left. They would have killed each other and wiped each other out. And where did the Indian originate from? Do you know? Well, go back to Palestine. You know, I'm going to tell you right now where the Palestinians originate from. Over 57 kings and queens from Jordan, Syria, and other countries, Egypt. I'm not going to list all the countries. And they came to that tiny little space when before Israel was born, again in 1948, as foretold in the Bible. Okay, as foretold and prophesized. Okay, they were reborn again in 1948. And Palestinians think that that's their land and they own it and blah, blah, blah because of their prophet Muhammad and everything. And, you know, we can get into a discussion here about religion. Prophet Muhammad, I know, he descended into heaven, and he was never foretold like other prophets, but he descended into heaven, and now he's having sex with 144,000 virgins. Yeah, okay, whatever. Just like the Indian. I'll worship the moon and smoke my peace pipe, okay? They have no proof, historical documents, or archives, and people always say, well, men wrote the Bible, and they changed it. Well, men wrote the Constitution. You believe in that, don't you? Do you have any eyewitness accounts to that men wrote the Constitution? Or is anyone alive today that saw these men write the Constitution? But we believe it, don't we? That's what we're supposed to fight for in America, right? Abraham Lincoln. Any eyewitness accounts to Abraham Lincoln? No. But we believe it, and we believe the archives. We believe what we see. We believe what's written. So why do you attack the Bible on the same principle? Well, men wrote that, and nobody's alive today who could verify that. Well, nobody's alive today that can verify George Washington, but you believe it. Okay? So stop with the stupid arguments. And the phone number, after my short introduction here, the phone number is 657-383-0616, and you can call in and press the number 1. And I've invited many people here, even from social media, and I don't know if they're trolls or not, but I will certainly call them out on social media if they don't tune in tonight and press the number 1 and challenge me on a theological discussion or whatever you want to talk about. I don't screen callers. All you got to do is press the number 1, and I'll connect you live. I'm not like other internet podcast radio shows where, okay, what number are you calling from? What's your name? What do you want to talk about? All right, I'll let the host know. No, I am the host. I am the host, and all you got to do is call in, and I'll give you a voice. And no, I'm not going to cut you off after 20 seconds like CNN and Fox. We got to go. We got to go to commercial. You know? No, we don't do that. We're 100% live here. We don't go to commercials. We give everyone the time frame that I'm allowed on Blog Talk Radio, which is about an hour and a half. So if you want a voice on this program, all you got to do is press the number 1. That's all you got to do. And hopefully I don't have any tones calling in tonight who want to try to tear apart my character and whatnot. And hopefully we can have a very good discussion here tonight. Okay, I'm going to go to the first caller, 781. Go ahead. You're live, like I promised. Go ahead, sir. Ma'am.
Hey, what's going on, Joe? It's Jimmy Rustler here. That's my... What's going on?
What's on your
Can you hear
mind
me?
tonight, my friend? Yeah, I can hear you fine. What's on your mind tonight, my friend?
I have a bunch of stuff, actually. I like what you said about the danger of declaring a national emergency, in regards to the wall. Because that's sort of the same thing that Deval Patrick did here I'm in Mass. And, back in 2013, we had a pretty bad blizzard, and he decided to declare a state of emergency and announce a travel ban, which, it was bad out, to be fair, but we spend millions of dollars every single storm just to salt the roads and keep them open, plowed and everything. And so I was a little chagrined, to say the least. I was like, well, what do you mean he's closing down? We've been driving on these roads every winter storm since forever. And, people buy four-wheel drive vehicles, all-wheel drive vehicles, and they slow down. And yeah, people are idiots and they crash, but that's not a reason to make an outright travel ban and threaten criminal litigation and fines. And
that was my question, actually. That was my question. What would happen if you got caught traveling during that travel ban? Did you hear any cases of people being arrested, or
Actually, no, there weren't. Not to my knowledge. Not during that ban, but there was. That's what I was getting into. There's actually more. This set a precedent. They do it almost every time it snows now. It seems like it's absolutely ludicrous that they still salt the roads and plow them, and then they say you can't drive on them. But it's a $500 fine or a year in jail, and that's absurd in my mind. A year in jail for driving, a victimless crime in most cases. It's different if you kill someone during these circumstances, or you're speeding and you cause some property damage. But anyway, you're totally right. Declaring a national emergency or statewide emergency for things that there are other remedies for, like common sense and decency. It's just absurd. And it's just a sign of the national.
But you see, we the people did not address this when this happened. The National Emergencies Act, sections 201 and 301. You can look that up. A National Emergency Act was declared in 2001 after the September 11th terrorist attacks. National emergency because something happened in New York.
Right.
And we go on. This is wrong, and it's unconstitutional. It's totally unconstitutional.
I concur. I think we're being we're really being raked over the coals here in many circumstances, and it was not just the Patriot Act. I'll look into this National Emergencies Act, but it's the Patriot Act, the way they handle FEMA in Katrina, for instance. It's just it's always. They're just like creeping up on us, little by little, and it's scary, man. I mean, it really is.
Well, I'm going to tell you, not to interrupt you, but you don't have to be scared. There's millions of us that are awake. And a matter of fact, in 2007, they did arrest the bond of all the governors across the country. And it was called at that time the Restore America Plan. And there is a Republic website out there. If you go to the Republic of the United States, it'll give you log graphs. It'll explain to you why this has happened. If you go back and look at the acts of 1871, this is a slow plan and it sounds crazy, but by a very few elite, the elite bankers and the central bankers who control our bartering system that we have to live by today, and the Federal Reserve.
Correct. It's really obvious if you pay attention. I've been studying all this stuff for a long time. I mean, I was in fourth grade during 2001, and the day it happened, I was saying BS. Okay, it's BS, and it just set me down a road of thinking about things a little different than I was before, and I'm a little older than you, and I want to give you something to look up that will really wake up your mind. And I want to say this: George Bush's father gave a New World Order speech on September 11th, 1991. September 11th, and then September 11th, 2001. Supposedly these big bad people from Afghanistan who have less than 8 miles of railroad track came over here and made NORAD stand down. Some people in the preaching to the choir, bro. The thing is, I got a Alex Jones bumper sticker. It came with what did I get from him? I got my shower is having a problem, and I had to buy a new shower head, and so I said, who am I going to buy that for? I said, oh yeah, Alex Jones has his filters and whatever. I said, you know what, I'll support him. And anyways, it came with a bumper sticker. It said 9/11 was an inside job. So I put it on my car. Man, I almost got run off the road 3 times up here in Boston. People just
wow,
ludicrous ludicrously mad. On separate occasions, driving through Cambridge or Boston, there's some really deranged people, and it's obviously the bumper sticker. This never happened, before, and I've been a very respectful driver my entire life.
Let me say something else. I also have the same bumper sticker on my work truck. I use it for work. I do landscaping. Yeah, I have one, and then after that I say rest the bankers and the Fed after that, and we the people. Alex Jones said, and I have that, and down here in North Carolina I actually get a thumbs up when people pass me or whatever. They say, yeah, keep awake,
I bet you do.
But up there in Massachusetts, good God, that's a police state, brother.
I know it is. That's another thing I was going to. Well, I might actually call back on the police state subject up here another time when I can prepare better, because I didn't really know what your show was about when you extended this invitation. But give me a second here. Have you heard about any rumors that Justice Ruth Bader Gingrich is scheduled to retire?
Actually, yes, and because of her health, correct?
Correct. It's apparently her cancer came out of remission. Sorry, as much as I disagree with her, just cancer is a terrible thing. But anyway, I think she is apparently scheduled to resign, maybe even in January, and that should be an interesting national event, something to look into more and maybe dig in. How about
that's true. That's true.
How about Dianne Feinstein's new assault weapons ban bill?
I haven't looked at that actually, and no, I have not heard about that. If you can give me some information on that, that's something, because we all know
sure,
Dianne Feinstein, who has security guards with guns protecting her, but yet we the people
correct,
should be
and she's got. I haven't found a single Republican who has co-sponsored this bill, but there could be some. I'm still looking into it, but it's called the assault weapon ban. The assault weapons ban of 2019.
And hang on. While you get your thoughts together, just listen to this thought. What is an assault rifle? There's no such thing as an assault rifle.
Well, to be fair, she's quantified and qualified them here. She has 205 different assault weapons, in quote, which basically are, magazines holding more than 10 rounds, barrel shrouds, pistol grips, that sort of thing.
I cannot believe it's like my home state, the state of Connecticut. You need to present ID to buy bullets now. I mean, and so they can research your name. This is totally a violation of the Second Amendment of the United States Constitution. And everyone who's on the call line, don't worry, I will get to you. You will get your time. I'm just giving this individual as much time as he needs to make his point. So go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just find it absurd. I love the state of Texas, for instance. You can go and show a driver's license and buy a shotgun in Walmart, and then, they give it to you. You walk outside, go back on in. You can go right to you can walk out. They legally have to give it to you. You walk outside with it, then you can go back in, and you can go to the pipe fitting section, have them cut it off and get a sawed off if for whatever reason. Maybe you want a snake gun or something, and That's more reasonable in my opinion. That's sort of the country I want to live in, is where it's my rights are afforded to me, And if you have time for just a quick, a 2-minute section, maybe a 5-minute section.
Yeah,
go
ahead.
Find it.
Go ahead. We got plenty of time left, and the callers need to be patient. Yeah, and we'll get to other callers. But yeah, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
So I've been following a gentleman named Larkin Rose, and he's an anarchist, actually. And I have my qualms with him. I personally, at this point, it's so dire, I find myself leaning towards the anarchistic side of things very often. But here's 5 questions he often asks people, and I sort of just wanted to think. I wanted to think it over with you. So his 5 questions. Number 1. Is there any means by which any number of individuals can delegate to someone else the moral right to do something which none of those individuals have the moral right to do themselves? So
that's a great question. That's a great question.
This is a wonderful question. These 5 questions are all great, and they really have helped me with these staunch, quote, liberals, when they're anti-liberals, but the Bostonians around here, I ask them these questions, and there's only a few who can even bother to answer them, but that's a great question. Number 2 is also great. Do those who wield political power, i.e. presidents, legislators, etc., have the moral right to do things which other people do not have the moral right to do so? If so, from who and how did they acquire such a right? That's a deep question.
Yeah.
And on to number 3, is there any process, e.g., constitutions, elections, legislation, by which human beings can transform an immoral act into a moral act without changing the act itself? That's actually
that's good. Yeah, these are good questions that people need to look in the mirror and ask. Right?
Right. That's the disconnect question for most. That's when people turn off their ears. But on to number 4. When lawmakers and law enforcers use coercion and force in the name of law and government, do they bear the same responsibility for their actions that anyone else would who did the same thing on his own? And on to number 5. When there is a conflict between an individual's own moral conscience and the commands of a political authority, is the individual morally obligated to do what he personally views as wrong in order to obey the law? And with that, I would say God bless, and I'd love to talk with you about theology, but I definitely want to give other people a chance, and I'm going to be calling back in.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and we broadcast on Thursdays and Sundays. That's my show, and you brought up those questions right there will be archived on the show, and yeah, and just so you know, at the end of the show, I usually reserve about 15, 20 minutes for people to give closing thoughts that called into the program. But we do have a number of callers on the phone line, so closing thoughts on whatever's on your mind, even if it's off topic, because we're internet podcast radio show, and we do get results on this show. And I call senators, I call sheriffs, I call police departments, I called Amazon on December 13th live and put them on the spot, because that's what this show is about before they shut us down and regulate us. You know what I mean?
Amen. Amen. God bless you and yours, sir. You have a good one.
Thank you so much. I hope you continue to listen, sir, and if you got the time. But I appreciate your call, and I welcome your call always. And we are 100% live. And you just stay on the line if you want. If you got to hang up and call back in, I understand. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next caller who's been waiting. I got 203. I got a private caller, and I got area code 302. I see you too, so don't worry. You'll be on here. Let's go to first who's been waiting the longest, 34 minutes. So I think I need to get to that individual. And then we'll go to the private caller, and then, of course, 302. Actually, 302 will be after that. He's 25 minutes waiting. So go ahead, 203. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's 203 again. Hello to Massachusetts. This is Connecticut. You got some good questions there. Good questions. I used to go to Lynn, Massachusetts quite a bit in the early 70s. I remember that from being an old city back then. I haven't been there in a couple of decades anyway, but I hear it's gotten pretty bad with the crime there. That's what I hear on the radio. I don't know. It was okay when I used to go there. Seemed to be old, that's all. But those are good questions. Anyway, talking about these road closures and state emergencies and everything, you think maybe they're like thieves in the night? Be a hell of a time to get something through the state or whatever down the roads that you really didn't want the people to see, because people see everything. So close the state, keep everybody off the road, and then move those things around. That's what I think anyway, because like he says, the roads are plowed, the roads are salted, but yet, you can't drive on them. And he's right. It's had many severe snowstorms up here, and they closed down everything, but it's generally drivable, especially people with four-wheel drive and everything. It's no problem. I've driven through plenty of blizzards, and I've had snow over top of the hood of the truck, but the truck keeps on going. But I realize that there are these North Carolinian drivers that can't drive on water. So When they get in a snowstorm, when they get in a snowstorm, they wind up on people's lawn. Yeah, well, there you go. That's it. They're going to Varmaco to get another 12-pack because they made $10 today. I know all about it. As long as we get our service call fee, we're happy because that's all we want today is our $20. Mama's out working, so I don't have to worry. And if not, Billy Bob's brother, sisters, uncles, nephew will lend us, a couple $100 because they own half of Walmart or something. Who the hell knows? But anyway, that's all I got to say for right now. I'm kind of busy with commotion up here with dogs, and that's why I was on and off. And I'll go off again now and maybe chime back in later.
All right. Well, thank you from Connecticut there, Meriden, Connecticut, actually. Thank you so much. And then I've got to go with the person that's been waiting the longest, and then I'll give them a few minutes like I gave you, and then a private caller is also on the line. I've got a bunch of other people that are listening. All you got to do is press the number 1, and you'll be connected 100% live. And that's how we do it. I don't screen callers. I don't put you in a private room like other internet blog talk radio shows. But before I connect 302, I just want to make an announcement here on a show we did on December 13th. We called Amazon live on this show, and we spoke to a supervisor live after waiting on hold, going through the nonsense, being hung up on. And I know I put my callers through a little bit of misery there, but they hung in there. And I want to say we got some results. Amazon did open up, reinstate one of my royalty accounts. We do publishing. We publish classic cartoons for years now, and you need to go back and listen to that show on December 13th. That was a great show, and we got results. We called the United States Attorney's Office in Washington State, and had him on live, and we also called the Attorney General's office. And Amazon was holding a carrot now and making us jump. And for people who don't know or are not unfamiliar with this program, that's what we do. We put people on the spot. We interview important people. We put them on the spot. We called the Connecticut Department of Corrections one time. We interviewed the former Prime Minister of Canada one time. And then I want to also, real quick, before I get to my next caller, the Schwab family, their children were stolen from them by CPS. A Navy veteran who served this country, his children were stolen from him, and this was before Christmas, and it was an emotional show, and he put his daughter on the line and thanked me for giving him a voice first. And he did make national news later on, and he was on InfoWars with Alex Jones because I sent Alex Jones a message and said, you need to get this guy on. Next thing you know, he was on. I don't know if I could take credit for that or not, but, I am in contact with Infowars.com all the time, and then usually they respond to my emails and they reach out to the people that I interview on this program. So we are a popular program, and we do get results. So if you need help out there or if you need a voice, 657-383-0616, or you can email me at joegibsonishome@yahoo.com. And or you can call me personally, 336-419-7236. That's my cell number. And I always entertain people who have a problem, who need help. And because this show is called Understanding the Times in Which We Live in Today. If we don't understand the times that we live in today, we are screwed, folks. So put the damn iPhone down. Put the widgets and gadgets down. I mean, sometimes some of you sit at a restaurant, and you look at a husband and wife and a child and a daughter sitting at a dinner table, and they're all staring at their cell phones instead of talking to each other. How detached have we become? Even Bill Gates wouldn't allow his children to use the Internet. Okay? I mean, even Steve Jobs wouldn't allow his children to have a cell phone until they reached the age of 18. And after that, he made a comment on Glenn Beck's show, which I support Glenn Beck also, that he regrets it. He said, I wish I never, maybe I shouldn't say that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that what do they know that we don't know? Why are we, the sheep, the people, not awake fully? Oh, there's millions of us awake. And also, real quick, I want to give a shout-out to the Oath Keepers who sent me an email thanking me for posting their videos on my Facebook page. The Oath Keepers, they may be on the line tonight also. Oath Keepers, you need to look that up. Okay? The Oath Keepers. All right, look that up on YouTube. And the last caller before Bitbanker called in, Hurricane Katrina. That's when the Oath Keeper came out and said, enough is enough. Our military, our peace officers, our retired veterans, and all of us need to keep our oath. Our oath is to the Constitution. We swore an oath to protect our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Okay? But I got to get to this next caller. I got to go down the line here, and I know people are waiting, so I apologize for that. But because I want to give everyone a live voice, and we'll see what this 302 has to say. He's been on this program before, and then I got a private caller who's been waiting also. But I got to go in order here, so just be patient, and you will get a voice on this program. Go ahead, 302. Go ahead.
All right. Mandela Khan, the Voodoo Child, checking in. And I just want to say first that I have a right to talk the way I talk. I have a right to talk this way because it's everything that I can say, I can prove what I'm saying. So when you hear me say something out off the cuff, then rather than jump me and try to distract, what you do is say, well, look, prove what you're saying. And I got three things that I scroll down here. And one is I often hear the term coming from good cop, bad cop, white cop, black cop, Democrat, Republican, good cop, bad cop. We live by a rule of law. That's a damn lie. And I'll prove it. First of all, there's only one supreme law of this land. It's the common law. And there is not one legislature on the local, county, city, state, and federal municipality is in law. That's why we are signing the arrest warrants as we speak for the grain offenses for the bloodless revolution under the guise of Class Action 567, which will be a total recall. And some of you political puns, I know you're not as astute as I am, but look up a recall and see that under the common law court, we not only have the right, we got a duty based on what we see going down under the sign of the times in which we live. And this is what's going to happen. So I don't care who's got the Armageddon theory or this is going to be a race war or civil war. Not if I got anything to do with it. Not if the people remember that they got a right and a duty to arrest these tyrants and install the people's government. The only way that you can abolish what you see is by establishing what must be. And this is where we are from the matriarch and the mighty Pain, which is the Pan-African Intelligence Network, which is internationalism to the core. And anybody who's opulent and have influence, they are internationalists. They not just think about God and country and their guns in the United States of America. Believe me. So I can prove that also. But my second thing is that what does Casper the Friendly Ghost, Tarzan, Santa Claus, Uncle Sam, the Pope, and God have in common? I'll tell you, they don't exist. There is no man sitting somewhere all by himself, don't need nobody, don't have, got all power over everything and all that. It is a lie, a damned lie. And I know it's not the program to go through to prove what you're saying, but they're all the same. They're all the same. They have no reality in life on the ground under the common law of the people. This Bhaskar, son of God, the Pope? Oh, yeah? Oh, so some of y'all really honestly believe that. But not on my watch, not in my name. There's no such thing as these people or these fictitious characters that I just mentioned. Someone put the story together, and just so fortunately that we caught them at the right place at the right time, where beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and opinions, they don't mean a thing because they don't have that swing. Those feelings, thoughts, beliefs, and opinions don't mean a damn thing. It's just something that then programs you into being submissive to terrorists or idol worshiping of people that you think is over you, right? But nothing is over me. No one, no man on the planet. I don't care what his office is. I don't care what his title is. He is not over me, and I will be damned if I submit my birthrights to anyone for me to go east, west, north, and south, unhindered, unfettered, without these rules, regulations, and restrictions that questions me on where you're going, why you're going, and what you're doing. You're not going to interrogate me. You're not going to vet me and question me about my motive, as long as I'm not trying to harm you, your family, and your children, and your old folks. As long as I'm not doing that, you have no right to question me about anything. And damn if I'm going to listen to any questions on that issue. And thirdly, this is when I talk about a wall. Y'all know the nursery rhyme of Humpty Dumpty. Understand the sign of times in which we live. Now, I know this, that there's no wall being talked about on the west coast by the water. No wall talked about on the east coast by the water. No wall talked about from Canada to Alaska up to from the Antarctica. No even discussion about a wall. But you hear all this riot and upheaval and shut them down, and we're going to get our way. We're going to put a wall. One of the most racist, biased, and prejudiced decisions that ever be made in the Americas is you think you're going to put a wall up. And by the way, that's land, Mexico. Many people still today know that Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, California, and Texas is part of Ashland, Mexico. So anybody think they're going to put a wall up there, and then you have the audacity to think that you're going to fly over the wall going south on a vacation to Cancun to get you some tortillas and some tamales and some good sex, or you think you're going to go down to Cuba or whatever. You don't go down to
hang on, Medelicon, hang on. Not to interject here, but the walls do work because every other country has walls. Mexico has their own walls, and every country has a sovereign right to protect its borders. Okay, we just can't let anyone come in freely as they want. You know, unless you want to abolish America and say, hey, let's all go at it. Let's all see who fights and wins, and then we take over and conquer again from the beginning.
I never said that, and I reject that last statement. So you got your God, country, and your guns, and I'm telling you, whoever got atomic bombs, whoever got aircraft carriers, submarines,
hang on. Everybody has atomic bombs, Medelicon. China has atomic bombs.
Your asses are in serious trouble.
Japan has atomic bombs.
Okay. Try to shift it away from what's happening. But in the Americas, I'm telling you this. Your asses are in serious trouble with all your weapons, right? Because I know me and mine, we didn't shoot, vote, pray, go to school our way into this Holocaust that we're living. We didn't do none of those things, and we're not going to use those measures to get out. But here's my point for y'all. I dare you to put your wall up, and I dare you to fly south of that wall and wave your damn flag like I'm a ugly American.
Hang on, Medelicon. Let me ask you a question. How can I fly south above that wall without a passport and entering the country legally?
I don't give a damn how you do it or how you don't do it.
No, Medelicon, hang on. If I go to Mexico illegally, they will throw my ass in jail, and I will be there for years. And I'll be begging the United States Embassy in Mexico, or the closest embassy, to get me out. Because it's happened. Walls with barriers work. So Mexico is a sovereign country, and the United States is a sovereign country, and they need to and we have to protect the borders of those countries because we have whack jobs out there all around the world who want to hurt innocent people. So look, whether or not it's propagated, hang on. Let me interject here. Whether or not it's manufactured by the CIA, the DEA, FBI, which we know they're all criminals. We discussed this already. You know, but I agree with you on the common law issue. We need to restore common law in America, okay? But what's happening around the world today, and even in Africa, you explained the Pan Am network in Africa, Nigeria, the Congo, they're killing each other too. Over what? And the Tutsis, they're killing each other. Millions are dying. But at the same time, we live in America, right? You live in America. And if you're an American citizen, you're actually a United States corporate citizen, but if you're a true American citizen who's awake, which I think you are, It's none of our business what the hell happens in Africa, China, or where else. Like George Washington said, friends with all, alliances with none. We don't need to be involved in unconstitutional wars. Fact. Okay, we don't need to be attacking the Vietnam War, for instance. False flag, the Gulf of Tonkin. 58,000 Americans lost their lives over what? Bullshit. Okay? Well, the Iraqi War. Bullshit. And I had Sean Rowe, a United States Army veteran, on this show years ago, who told me the facts of Ramadi and Fallujah. He was on this show live. And he advised my nephew, my younger nephew, who was thinking about enlisting in the Army. You know what he told him? Don't do it. Don't do it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to get sent to Afghanistan, you're going to get sent to Iraq, you know. And when he went against his advice, but thank God he's home safely right now. But I'm just saying, unconstitutional wars, you know. I'm saying if no one is attacking us, which they're not, nobody's coming. How many terrorists have killed Americans since 2001? Supposedly 2001. Let's just say 2001 was true, and some people in a cave came over here, which they were Saudi Arabian actually, like I said earlier, killed all those people in the Twin Towers. How many people since then have died in America on the war on terror, the boogeyman that's hiding under your bed? How many people? Don't tell me the Boston bombing. Don't tell me that, because that was a crock of crap too. False flag all the way. False flags have been used throughout history. Hitler did it. He burned down the Reichstag building and blamed it on some retard in an alley and blamed it on communism. And what did he say? We need to protect our homeland against communism. That's how he built his empire, Adolf Hitler. And what do we say today? Terrorists, terrorists, terror, 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 terror. We need to protect the homeland. The homeland. We need to protect our homeland. Homeland? What are you talking about? You know, you understand my point, what I'm trying to say, Mandela Khan?
I really appreciate that filibuster, but I'm getting ready to nail the coffin into your wall and everything. You said the word Constitution. You said the word Hitler. Very good assessment. And here's where I got you. There's 205 nations on the planet Earth, and you keep talking about my Constitution in the United States of America, my guns, and my God. Do you understand, outside this country, since Hitler died, where your illegal invasions, right, not fighting mechanized aircraft carriers, not fighting jets and all these high advanced weaponry, do you realize that you're fighting people that don't have none of the technology? Do you realize that you're violating every constitution across the African and the Arab world since Hitler died?
Mandela Khan.
Hold on. Let me finish. You didn't get since what was that? Slobodan Milosevic and Vladislav candidates up in Yugoslavia. That was the last time, but that wasn't even a real engagement, because you're not trying to stop no ethnic cleansing. So you can quit telling that damn lie. The fact is, this country is in serious, serious trouble because it violates the Constitution, the sovereignty and integrity and dignity of the other nations. That's a fact that nobody can deny. And the final point I want to bring to this.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Well, it don't matter what you agree. It don't matter whether you agree or not. I'm not.
It doesn't matter. Well, okay, it doesn't matter. I know you're the judge of everything. But hang on.
No.
What I'm trying to tell you is I agree with you that. I agree with you. Common law. You're absolutely correct. This country. I just said this 3 minutes ago.
No, you didn't say that your Constitution is in serious violations of other nations. You didn't say that. I said it, and now you want to go back to something I previously said. Let me move on. I'm
agree with you.
Y'all are illegal invaders, foreign invaders, claiming
that illegal invaders. Listen, now let's look at true history. How did the Europeans invade this country illegally?
I didn't say that. Now see, there you go again. I did not say that.
Well, you said European invaders.
I'll tell you what.
That's what you said.
Do you think Colin Powell, Barack Obama, and is leading all these wars? And what? Manuel Noriega. What do I want to say? Where else you want to go? You want to go to Panama? Do you want to go? What's it? Do you want to go to Vietnam? Look? Who the hell you think is leading these wars? Huh?
The United States Corporation. Okay.
Okay.
I agree with
you can say it like
the
that.
Central bank.
You can say it like
the
that.
Central bank. Yes.
My point is that there's not an American, ugly American, put your wall up and think you're going down south to have some more carry goat and have sex with the women and children and think you're going to
just do what you've been doing. I've got to get to the next caller. Mandela Khan. I've got to. You can stay on the line. I'll give you closing thoughts. But, we can't blame it on the European invaders. We can blame it on the European
That's
bankers.
Right. You can't. I know you can't. You can't because you're European. I understand. But ain't no problem. You're a minority on the planet Earth, so it don't matter.
Well, you're European too because you were born here. How's that sound? Come on now. Come on.
Okay.
Stop it.
Okay.
All right, come on now. I agree with
I'm
you.
not getting no fairy tale.
You're not getting. Hang on, I'm not telling a fairy tale. Well, what's a fairy tale? You talked about Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall and he fell over, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's a fairy tale. Okay?
No,
that
it's not.
never happened.
No, it's not. It's a projected story by the illegal. They wrote their own nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went up the hill. London Bridge is falling down. They wrote and knew that they couldn't keep the people's power for so long.
Tom and Jerry are a fairy tale too. And we all like watching classic cartoons.
Okay,
hang on, Mandela, I got to get you another caller. I got to get you another caller. All right. Private caller, go ahead.
Yes, my dear friend. How are you? This is Mike from Singapore. How you doing?
Mike from Singapore. Thank you. Thank you for Thank you, Mike, for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. And I'm going to give you the floor here and give you the same amount of time. Go ahead, sir.
Yes,
thank you for calling back in. I appreciate
you that you give me the same amount of time as everybody equally. And your show is number one. And you let everybody come and talk. And remember, the clashes of different opinion, the real truth shall come out. I mean, right now I would like to talk about this doomsday scenario that if this shutdown continue, we are going to be the second Paris of Europe because people are fed up. 38 million of low-income Americans will lose food stamps. 6 million face uncertain timetable collecting the tax refunds. 2 million without rental assistance and facing possible eviction, my friends. 800,000 paycheck federal employees plunge into financial straits. And shattered parks and museums, while overstressed airport cause tourism to tank. And also remember
hang on.
that...
Not to interject real quick, I want you to finish your point, not to get you off topic here, but what do you think about France wanting to collapse the euro? And
yes,
because you talked about this last time on my show, what's going on, in Europe. This is big, Go ahead, sir.
Right. And I will give you some more new information from France, too. A federal court system slows and crawls. Disaster relief money doesn't get to storm-ravaged areas. And lapses FDA and EPA inspection leads to dangerous outbreaks of E. coli and other viruses. Because, once the food is not inspected properly, we are going to eat it right now. You guys in North America, in USA. So there is a big chances that, again, maybe something is infected and they don't catch it. You guys get it, and some people may die out of it. So private companies looking to go public are stuck in limbo, and a stock market is going to go down. And regarding France, my friend, in your time is different because we are 16 hours ahead of you. So you are around 5-ish, I believe, 5 p.m. So what happened?
Actually, it's 8 p.m. It's 8 p.m. here in North Carolina.
Okay, you are Eastern. So we are 13 hours ahead of New York. We are 13 hours ahead of you then. That's fine. But or 5 or 8 or or 9 a.m. in Singapore. So it doesn't matter. 9 a.m. January 11th. So our time is one day. Your time is about 2 days. What is going? People of France going to go to bank run in France. They are going to empty all their bank accounts and keep it with themselves, and etc. And then the process would be burning all the banks down in France. This is the new information. I just got it. So, if if Donald Trump doesn't open this, shutdown properly, and if he seems like he needs a toy. He used to be a child, and he said to his daddy, which was a prostitution anyway. His daddy had a prostitution in San Francisco, and everybody come there, pay gold, and give them girls and etc. And then he got rich. You know that, don't you? So he was a kid. His dad maybe was strict to him, said, no, you cannot have that toy, or something. It's a psychologically he is unfitted to command the United States, and if this is the way going with everything I read for you, this country is going to be like a Middle East or Paris of Europe, or it's going to be many other countries that.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. The United States will be destroyed from within, and even Abraham Lincoln prophesied that it will be destroyed from within, and from within ourselves, and we see it happening right before our very eyes. But we can't blame just Donald Trump. We need to blame. I mean, you said about Donald Trump and everything. Well, look at the Clintons. Look at the Obamas. Look at the Bushes. For God's sake, the Bushes were mastermind criminals, with their Illuminati and skull and bones and everything. It's we, the people, that aren't standing up anymore here in America and understanding the values of what we were supposed to be founded on, like Mandela Khan said, common law. If I don't hurt you and I don't offend you, I mean, if I'm not hurting you as an individual, then why am I being harassed? Or like the caller that was in the beginning of the program, you have no right to restrict my travel. I could travel any way, any which way I want, as long as I don't hurt somebody. And that's sir, with all due respect, I'll let you finish your point. And I don't mean to disrespect you by interrupting.
Sure.
If you go to the Republic of the United States, go to the Republic of the United States website. They give you the law graph. And that it was the Restore America plan. And I attended these meetings in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, in Greensboro. And these are people that understand the history, the true history of this country. Taxes don't pay for roads. They don't pay for police officers. We have a central banking scheme in this called the Federal Reserve System. Tell me, sir, why do they call it the Federal Reserve System? It's not federal. It's not federal at all. It's no more federal than FedEx. Okay, but it's a deception, and we've been fooled and buffooned. And the founders of this country, who did not believe in slavery, they were against it. Okay, they did not believe in discrimination. They believed that every man and woman has the right that's endowed by what they believe as their creator to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Period.
It's
Period.
Gone.
After that.
It's gone. It's gone, my friend. Pursuit of happiness, love, and human rights, everything is gone. And yet, in front of the World Trade Center, the MBS, the Muhammad, the head of the Saudi Arabia state, he put a chocolate in front of the World Trade Center. Is a big, and it's all green, and then it says on it, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That means there is no other God but Muhammad, and Muhammad is messenger of God. And the Saudi monument is one of the statues representing.
And hang on, not to interject again. I want to welcome all callers here, and we're starting to get into a theological discussion here about God. But I want to welcome callers, and I have a caller here from Singapore. Singapore, halfway around the world, and it's great that you called in here tonight. Go ahead and make your point, and then I want to get to other callers.
Yeah,
go ahead.
The Saudi monument is one of the statues representing the 20 nations, the G20, that artist Lawrence Jenkel thought appropriate for the candies of the nations, according to the Observer. The Port Authority of the New York also thought it's an apt piece to put on this location. Come on. People of New York, please go and see what the fuck is happening to your country. I mean, this needs to be burned down. Do what the fuck?
And folks, for people that are just tuning in here, and even in the chat room, this is someone that's not in America who's telling us, look at what's happening to America. Look what's happening. You know, and it's all a big game. You know, it's disgusting. And you're an individual who knows what's going on in France. They're collapsing the euro, and they told the people of France to withdraw 20% of their money.
Run the bank.
To withdraw 20% of their money to collapse all the banks, to crash the euro. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because, you know, over there, Macron is a globalist. Macron is and take all their, their wages and all their 401ks, etc., and use it for the other things, wars, and supposed to protect Congo and etc. So people are pissed. When people get pissed, this is what happens. So this much I can tell you. We are just one step closer to become like Paris of Europe.
Amen. You're absolutely correct, sir. I've got to get to my next caller, and he's from North Carolina, and we've heard from people from all over the country here tonight and around the world.
Thank you, sir.
But
thank you for letting me go.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, you're welcome as always, sir. And I hope you continue to support the program. Because I knew a worldwide audience is awesome. And I love to talk to people in Europe and find out what's going on, because you're not going to get the truth from the corporate fake news. You're not going to get it here in America, folks. Thank you so much.
And by the way, one thing I said, can I say something? You know that the owner of the Amazon is divorcing because he had an 12 years affair with another lady. So now the fate of $140 billion is going to be, I guess, half and half, $70 billion and $70 billion, and plus $7 million he had stocks. So everything has to be 50-50. So that's something to think about.
All right, thank you, sir. My caller from Singapore, Singapore around the globe. I know it's probably, I don't know what time it is there. You said you actually quoted the time right here.
It's 9:07, sir. 9:07, January 11th.
Okay, thank you. You're a day ahead of us then, actually. All right,
sir.
well,
I
got to get I've got to get. You're so welcome, and I love you. I do, and I appreciate your call. I really do. And please continue, if you can, to listen to the program and listen to other callers. And you're always welcome to call into this program. You know that.
Right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. God bless you.
All right, thank you. And like we quoted earlier, we started talking about God and everything and stuff like that. And, I quoted earlier from my friend, Dr. Peter Ventura. There was a caller on the line that had some theology questions about God. He didn't want to get into it, but he agreed with me about the Federal Reserve and everything like that. Men wrote that book, blah, blah, blah. But yet we believe the Constitution. Men wrote the Constitution. Do you have any eyewitness accounts of that alive today? No. Do you have any eyewitness accounts to Abraham Lincoln? No. But yet we believe it. But why do we attack the Bible? Why do we do that? Why is America collapsing before our very eyes? Is this foretold? I mean, is America prophesied in the Bible? Where is America foretold? Israel was foretold, but I get constant comments on on social media, I hate the Jews. The Jews control everything. You know, those poor Palestinians. What the hell is a Palestinian? You know, who's a Palestinian? What gives them the right? Their prophet Muhammad and his 144,000 virgins? You know, where was he foretold, the prophet Muhammad? You know, and we're going to discuss theology also a lot more in future shows, and we're going to bring on some friends here. But I got to go down the line of callers here. All you got to do is press the number 1, and we can learn about God if you want to. I mean, you know, I know people want to close their ears, but they're all willing to stare at their iPhones, their widgets and gadgets. But, all right, let's go ahead here. 336 been waiting a while. Go ahead, Leroy.
Yeah, hey, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Anyway,
I hope you're doing well,
good,
too.
Good. Yeah, the damn delay sucks. It's like a two-second delay. But, you know, he's from Singapore, Malaysia, and, you know, he's talking all the stuff about Trump and being a whiny little baby and everything. But I want to know, where's he getting all his information from? Because I've been to Kuala Lumpur, which is Malaysia, and you watch what they tell you you're going to watch. It's a monarchy over there. There's, you know, in Singapore, they're still law on the books. You can't chew gum while you're walking down the sidewalk. So that's how strict they are on some things over there.
Hang on, do they have the internet over there? They obviously do. They have the internet over there?
Yeah,
okay,
it's open.
He could be getting it. Yeah, okay.
It could be, but I mean, he very well could be getting his information from the internet. But I watched TV when I was over there. You know, like I said, I've been to the Petronas Towers and that big tower. What's it called? Menara Kuala Lumpur or something like that. Been to the top of that, and it's a nice country. People are real friendly over there too. It's a great place to go if you want to go visit a place in Asia. But and like I said, it's also a monarchy, and anywhere I've been overseas,
well, I can tell
the news
you, well, hang
you watch
on, Leroy,
over there.
I can tell you, hang on, Leroy, just not to interrupt you or disrespect you, but he calls me from a weird number. I don't want to give his number out, but he calls me from a very weird number, and so he you know, and so he possibly is tuning in through the internet and whatnot. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, he might be calling you. He might be calling from your Skype or their version of Magic Jack or something like that, or you know, they've got internet over there. But I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in KL. I was sitting down there at the pool drinking at the pool bar in the middle of the bar. Beautiful place. I got pictures of it. And sitting over there at the bar drinking a cold beer, and the waiter asked me if it was during Ramadan or something. He asked me if I was going to fast. Yeah, I said, yeah, give me another beer real fast and a pizza. But, you know, that's about it. But it's a beautiful country. And, you know, Mandela Khan made a comment about people questioning him or something like that. But if you're going to sit out here and you're going to and I don't mean him no respect by saying this or anything, but if you're going to sit out here and preach your line of thought or what you believe is fact, you also got to be prepared to answer questions on that. That's how you persuade people. You just can't sit out here and dictate and preach and holler this and holler that. This is true. Because, you know, some of us got questions, and you might persuade me more to believe on what you to believe. I think it's great ideas and everything, but if you can't answer simple questions, then nobody's ever going to believe you. You know what I'm saying? And they're not gotcha questions. That's his big thing. Oh, you got your gotcha question, you European invader. No, it's a simple question. That's all. But anyway, you get on to your next caller. If Mandela Khan wants to answer a couple questions in a civilized manner without going on for 30 minutes, I'm more than happy to ask him some questions. And, you know, it may, like I said, I believe in what he says, and I trust it 100%. I just don't think it's going to work or would ever work, and it's up to him to answer a couple questions to say to people.
Well, yeah, I agree with you 100%. And socialism doesn't work, but we want to kind of, you know, stay really with the focus on the program here and understand the times in which you live in today. And I've invited people on the program here. Theological questions are very important. We here in America are a God-fearing country. We were founded on God. You know, if you're born here and you believe in God, or if you don't, that's fine. You have a right to believe what you want. You know, nobody. You know, the Constitution says you're endowed by your Creator. It doesn't say, you know, so the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. doesn't mean anyone else owes you that right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Nobody owes anybody anything. You're an individual, you know.
No.
And I think one of my friends told me that, you know, and that I don't think that's right that anyone, you know, the last caller said people aren't going to get food stamps and stuff, you know. Well, this is a problem that we, the people, created. We allowed the Federal Reserve System Bank to exist in the year 1913. We were deceived, and it took them until 1929 to crash the economy, and they instituted the Emergency Powers Act. Donald Trump, look, I believe Donald Trump is not a globalist or a New World Order puppet, but at the same time,
no,
like our first caller said, you know, you don't have a right to declare a national emergency. You know, and
actually,
I don't
he does
Donald Trump on that.
If it involves national security. He does.
No.
It's in the books. Look it
no,
up.
No.
I mean,
well, no,
but he has to prove
does
also it involves it.
No, he does underneath the District of Columbia corporation government. Under the Constitution, he does not. He cannot. The president does not have the ban travel, to ban when you buy gas. Ban because we have bad weather in a certain state, a governor could say we declare a state of emergency, so therefore you're going to be in prison for up to 1 year or a $500 fine if you travel. No, that is unconstitutional. We, the people, are the real branch of the government. We, the people.
Okay, well, here's where you're wrong, though, if
government.
you listen. Under the National Emergency Act passed by Congress in 1973, the president has almost unlimited discretion to declare a national emergency.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, there's amendments to the Constitution and everything else.
But the government is only for Washington, D.C., a 10-square-mile area.
Exactly.
It's not supposed
that is true.
It's not supposed to affect the rest of the United States, and you're talking about assault weapons. We have 535 assault weapons in D.C., and those are the things we should get rid of. The House of Representatives and everything else.
Exactly, and I believe that. I've always said the government is too big.
Let me interject
but
here.
when you're going to interject, but then 10 minutes later we're going to be talking about something else, and I'm not going to be able to counterpoint Bitbanker.
No,
because
well, hang on.
The thing about security, just about being in Washington, D.C., I was going to get on why it involves more than Washington, D.C.
You said the Congress of what year? You said 1972, correct?
73, yeah. Close enough.
73. Okay, that Congress is not a constitutional Congress. Look up the acts of 1871. Okay?
We're not getting all that. If we lived in 17, whatever year it was still, you got to be able to make amendments.
To that. No, we're not.
No, times were different back then.
No, they were not.
Different back then.
Times were different. So therefore, no. When the Second Congress walked out right before the Civil War, they never reconvened, okay? So therefore, that Congress was abolished, and then we became a corporation. Understand the Act of 1871 and the Reconstruction Acts. We became a corporation. Therefore, when we became a corporation, the District of Columbia, like Bitbanker was just referring to, is the corporation. Now, can you vote on a corporation? When you go to Walmart, do you have a say? What's in aisle number 7? No, you don't. You don't. Okay? You don't have a say in a corporation. Your rights were stripped from you. It's called the Organic Constitution. Okay? We no longer under the Constitution. We're not longer under public law. We're under public policy. And I read the Emergency Powers Act of 1933 to you, okay, on Thanksgiving night. And then it was readdressed for the final time in 1972. And I read very clearly that most Americans don't understand.
Okay.
That
See,
we
now
are
you're
no
going
longer
off way off of what we're talking about again. Yes, we are, because I'm just talking about the president declaring a state of emergency. Now you're wanting to give me a lecture of something that happened in 1871. If it's involving the safety of people, if it's involving the safety of our country and our nation,
you're being fooled. That's all. That's the bottom line.
If border agents are asking yes, we need a wall to help us, okay? And the lefties are not wanting to grant that because even though they voted for a $60 billion fund for more fencing, more barriers, and more security just 8 years ago, now all of a sudden, because it's Donald Trump in there, they're flip-flopping.
And why did
he needs to do what he needs to do?
Okay, Leroy, let me ask you. Why didn't Donald Trump get his wall during his first 2 years of presidency when they controlled the House and the Senate? Why didn't they do it then? Because you're being fooled,
because we know
Leroy.
it's a game. It's a game. It's a game. No, I'm not being fooled. I know it's a big game. No, I'm not being.
Yes.
I'm just saying your topic of your whole title of your show is understanding the time in which we live, but everything revolves back to something that happened 200, 300, 400 years ago. Let's talk about what's happening today and how we can fix that. And
how can
corporation,
we
you're right.
understand
We
today,
shouldn't have to vote.
Leroy.
We shouldn't have to vote in a
Okay, hang on.
corporation. Getting back to yourself, because a
Leroy,
corporation, the
you
exact
can't vote
definition of a
you-
corporation is a company or a group of people authorized to act as a single entity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're absolutely correct. And that entity does not represent you. That's why these politicians don't care about
No.
you. And
It's
you're in the
legally
wall.
It's legally a person. That's what it is. So you're right. If you go out and you start a great big business, and all of a sudden you're incorporated, and you got all these other businesses across the United States, what does it matter what Joe Blow across the street thinks about your corporation? Should he have a say-so in it? Hell no. You built that.
Leroy, to understand today, you have to understand what happened yesterday and learn the truth of history that reflects on what we're doing today. Okay?
Dinosaurs used to roam the earth. History's history.
No, they
Let's
didn't.
live about today.
All right, now we're talking about dinosaurs, okay?
Well, you want to talk about history? Let's go
Constitution-
back to when people dragged their knuckles on the ground and went and killed each other over a damn fire. I mean, if you want to talk about history, let's go back that far. But we can't. Let's talk about right now. What can we do?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can get. Well, what you want to talk about right now? End the
Yes.
Federal Reserve Bank. End the
Well, that's a
central
good
bankers
start.
that own you.
Well, that's a damn
That's
good
a
start.
start.
It really is, and I agree with
That's
you on
right.
that. But we can't go back to like what the guy from Singapore was saying, is stop the government shutdown, partial shutdown, because 800,000 government workers are out of work. It's like you said, their first paycheck they're going to do without is this week. And most of them have already found other jobs and done this or got, not to mention, once they go back to work, they're going to get all their damn money back anyway. So it's not really shut down. It should be
Leroy.
the technical term on hold.
Leroy, I just want to say this. Do you understand
Yeah.
that this has all been foretold years ago? America's going to destroy itself. We're going to abandon Israel, okay? And we're already doing it today.
We always will,
We're
yeah.
hating Jews more. We're hating Jews more and more every day. I see it on social media. And you go back to prophecy that was foretold. I know maybe you disagree with biblical pinpoint aspects, but the Bible outlines your future. It outlines the past. It outlines how we're living today. All you have to do is rightly divide it. I know men wrote that. I know. And
It's
they
a very
took
broad
things out.
spectrum. Where does it say anything about the United States in the Bible? It don't, because the United States didn't
doesn't.
exist
You're
yet.
right. It
But
does
the man,
not.
but
It doesn't
listen,
say
let me
anything about
finish.
Congo either.
But every great kingdom, or back then kingdoms, or every great nation has always folded after a given amount of time. So you could take that Bible and say, well, it predicted this and predicted this, and it's predicting this
Yeah.
now. It's going to
How about the
happen
Roman
sooner or later,
Empire?
no matter where you are. No matter where you
How
are.
about the Roman Empire? How
folded
about the
because they got greedy.
Yeah, but it's foretold in the Bible that the Roman Empire will rise again. The Vatican Church is very
Because the Roman Empire
Vatican-
existed when the Bible was supposedly written.
No, well, all right. Well, I don't know. Maybe I could bring the doctor in here to answer some questions. I see him on the call line. If he pressed number one,
He got mad last week.
Well, you know what?
Actually,
you know what I think. I think it's good to be talking about history and what's going on today, because what's going on today, we're not going to change. Because I think that if every third American went to D.C. and told these people that we want a wall, we wouldn't get it anyway. Because if you just look at the facts, like Joe was saying, you got to go back and do the history first, because 133 million voted for Hillary, but she's not president. So it's not what we want, and we're never going to get what we want.
No, we're not. We're not. That's what I'm saying. Let's not live in the history. Let's talk about how we can change that today, what we can do about it. I don't care about when the Constitution was written. Things, thoughts, the way people lived were totally different back then. How can we adjust it now?
Well, how can we adjust it? I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah. I told you. At first, start by abolishing the central bankers that control everything, and you're not going to do it. There's a plan for you, my friend. There's a plan. It's called the New World Order. It was tried before, and God destroyed it. It's going to happen again. It's called the Book of Revelations. It's not hard to understand if you rightly divide the Bible. And I don't want to hear your living translation. There's many books and blah, twisted and blah, 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 because God foretold the seventh translation, okay, in the book of Psalms.
So women should submit to their husbands.
Women should submit to their husbands. Yes, they should. Okay? Like I said, Dr. Peter Ventura can explain that. Yes, they should. Okay, they should submit to their
Colossians 3:18 or 19, whatever says that?
No, it was in the
women
book
should
of
submit to their husbands.
Actually. I don't know if the doctor's on the phone line here tonight. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to press one. Let me try to connect him. Maybe he can explain.
Oh, you know, I'm only trying to agitate a little bit. I'm only trying to agitate a little bit and get a little discussion going. That's all. But I can tell you one thing, Dr. Ventura, that lady last week had Ventura starting to get upset, man. I was sitting over and going, "Come on, man."
Well, she kept talking over him, too, in a way. He was trying to answer her questions. She kept going on. But she's a friend of mine, Melissa, so I don't want to disrespect her on the program in case she's listening.
I know, but out of respect to both of them, they got to be able to give answers that ain't 37 minutes long. You know, when someone asks a question, give it a 20, 30-second answer. It may not be the full answer, but you give the answer.
But that's impossible, Leroy. Why does it have to have a time limit? Is everyone in a rush to go someplace?
But the problem is you start going down a rabbit hole. You start going down a rabbit hole. You ever go to YouTube, you watch a video, and an hour later you're watching a video about something that was totally unrelated? That's what happens when you get into a 30-minute answer.
I don't know. Well, let me see if I can connect the doctor about the there he is. I think he just popped up on my call screen. Now, let him speak for a few minutes without anyone yelling at him and interrupting him. Give him a few minutes. And because he's been listening for a while, let me connect them. Dr. Peter Ventura, you can see what we're getting into on this conversation here tonight, and go ahead. How you doing tonight? And by the way, everyone, right now, hang on. Dr.
I'm doing all right, Ventura. Hey, Ventura, before you get started, last week when you was on the program, Joe asked you how things were going down your way, and you said, "Oh, it's pretty peaceful down here, no issues." That very same night, though, what happened? A bunch of damn people tried breaking through the barrier or whatever down there in San Diego or something across.
Hang on, Leroy.
I was like, "Damn, what?"
Hang on, Leroy. This is important. Hang on now. Okay, Dr. Peter Ventura's wife's mother passed away in the state of Connecticut a couple days ago, actually. And okay, so I just want to say on the live radio here program that she was at peace. She was older. She lived a good life, and I'm sorry. I want to announce that I'm sorry for your wife's loss, Dr. Peter Ventura.
Well, thank you, Joe. We appreciate that very much. She was a Christian woman, and so we're pretty content with that. We know where we go. We'll miss her, but we know that there's a day we'll see each other. Amen. But that lady was pretty fired up last week. I enjoyed her conversation. I mean, come on, if we all going to say the same thing. Well, though I like to have us all in agreement about the Bible, but Leroy was saying, should women submit to their husband? Well, it depends on how you use the word submit. Does that mean that she's less than the man and she's under his feet? No, I mean, God took her from the side of man, right? He didn't take her from under his feet or above his head, took her from the side. Submit to your wife. In other words, the husband's the head of the house, and he should make the decisions in the home that are final. It's his ministry, and he has to answer to God for it.
And that's what that means. It doesn't mean that he should mistreat her or she should grovel at his feet and but Sarah called her husband Lord in that sense, out of respect, but not that he was the Lord. And so a woman's place is by the side of her man. And Christ said that a man's to love his wife as Jesus loved the church. How much did he love the church? He died for it. And a man ought to be willing to die for his wife. So to say submit to your husband as something derogatory, it's like the word discrimination. We've got into this thing where you're using words and you're saying, well, discrimination, you're a discriminator. Listen, you're all discriminators. You go to the store and you buy Cheerios and you don't buy Fruit Loops, you're discriminating against Fruit Loops. But we've taken that word and we've politically corrected along with the Democrats. Was that short enough,
true.
Leroy?
Yeah, thank you. Actually,
hang on,
Ventura, thank you for actually keeping it short and sweet like that. I appreciate it. And that's what it was open to. It's open to interpretation of what it means. What your interpretation of that means might be different than what that's the way I would interpret it too. But that's different than what, say, hey, Wacko Jacko down the road with dynamite strapped to his back interprets things. And that's where we run into the problems that we have.
Okay, but here we have when it comes to this book, the Bible, it interprets itself. So if it's something biblical you're talking about, you can find the answer within it. It explains itself. If you go to the book of Revelations and John sees Jesus and he's standing there and he has 7 stars and 7 candlesticks, you say, what are they? You get down to the bottom of the chapter and it says the mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in his right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks, the 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks are the 7 churches. So it interpreted itself. It didn't need an outside interpretation to insert my own thought into it. You see?
Okay. And hang on.
Yeah,
Dr.
I understand what you're saying.
I want to ask a question. Here. Leroy brought up the kingdoms of the earth. They come and go, and they're not foretold in the Bible. Can you explain that, Dr. Peter Ventura?
Well, prophecy says that at some point all the nations of the world come against Israel. No, that's a fact. So, and Leroy's right. Nations do come and nations do go. Look at the great nation of Rome. But we should learn from history, and what they should learn from Rome is the fall of the Roman Empire. The greatest empire to be on the face of the earth was caused by an overspreading of their military, an overtaxation of their people, amusements of every kind, and sin of every kind. And that's what brought down Rome. And that's what's bringing down
I read that book, actually, The Fall and Decline of the Roman Empire. I read that book, actually, you actually introduced me to that book, The Fall and Decline of the Roman Empire, and that's what America's doing. That's why America will collapse also.
Yes.
That's what it was. I mean, he's right. He's right. That's what happened. I mean, they got too greedy, too big, and then what happened? The Huns came in, and they're spread out too thin.
And the truth is this: a nation's not protected by its
weapons.
A nation's not protected by its weapons. A nation's protected by its God. And that fellow that was on, who was supposedly from Singapore, that said he was a Muslim, and he had that foul language coming out of his mouth. If that's what his God represents, I'm glad I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I have friends that are Muslims and from over there, and they would never would speak like that.
Correct.
Matter of fact, at 9 o'clock every night, if I'm playing a game with them, if I'm online playing a game, they'll be like, "I'll be right back, Leroy. I gotta go pray." And 30 minutes later, they're back, and that's every time,
And
Dr. Peter Ventura,
I don't mean to side
Dr.
shot
Peter
the guy
Ventura,
when he's not here.
But Dr. Peter Ventura, the bottom line is, like Leroy said, understanding what we live in today, the times in which we live in today, the bottom line is this. We see prophecy being fulfilled, right before our very eyes. And like you just mentioned, everyone is going to rise up against Israel. We see the hate coming against that tiny little country. Why is that tiny little country so hated amongst the world? And the United States is its only ally. Its only ally. But when the United States abandons Israel, like it's doing today, it's abandoning the Jew again. And what's going to happen? Just tell us prophecy according to the Bible, if you can.
Well, I know that every nation that's ever come against Israel has fallen. I mean, you look at the 6-Day War. And like you said, Israel is, it's 12 miles wide in some places. And of all the Arab land that surrounds it, so one of these nations could give up a 12-mile wide stretch of land and call it Palestine if they wanted to. It's not about that. You have to understand what's really going on in the Middle East. It didn't start with Palestine itself. It started with Isaac and Ishmael. It started with Jacob and Esau, and the Arabs feel that he stole the blessings, that Jacob stole the blessings that belonged to them, and it's gone back ever since then. But really, Isaac was the child of promise, and not Hagar's child, who was Ishmael, who, in the Bible prophecy, you talk about Bible prophecy, well, the Bible says Ishmael would be a wild man, his hand would be against every man, and every man's hand against him. Can you tell me what's been going on in the Middle East from the beginning of time? Every man, just like the Bible said, prophecy. You go to the blessings, Joe. Here's something, Leroy. You go to the blessings where Jacob's blessing his sons and Abraham, and you find out that that Noah's kid, he said that over there for Noah and Noah's blessings, he said that Shem would go east, and Japheth would go up to Europe, and then Ham would be in the Canaanite area, and that prophecy was that Shem would inhabit the tents of Japheth, or rather Japheth would inhabit the tents of Shem. So what happened in history, world history, you should discuss history, is that the Shemites went east across the Bering Strait and into the United States. It became the South American and North American Indian. And Shem,
they dwelled in you don't think people were here before that?
Well, let me finish. So what happens is that what's his name, the European Japheth, just like the prophecy said, he comes from Europe and conquers the American Indian. What does he do? He lives in his tents, just like it said. It's all been written, my friend. The end from the beginning. The Bible is a history.
True. And it is a history book that proves to be true today to what's happening. And you said, if you talk to people that are still alive today from the 7-day war, over there, where every Muslim country attacked Israel, you have eyewitness accounts today that say they shot upon Israel tanks and nothing would happen. Dust storms would come up out of nowhere and blow them away. The planes were, stories that you'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? But if you look at the Bible and you understand, what happened, that 1967 war, just all you got to do is look it up. It's on YouTube even. You can watch videos of it today. But people don't because they're too busy taking selfies on Facebook. I
on the Universe has a good question in the chat room.
The Bible says in the end times men would be lover of selves, right? That's the prophecy. Men would be lover of selves. What do we have? We have iPhones. See, he named that right because people are materialistic and selfish, and I have an iPhone.
Dr. Pivotor, I got a question for you.
And not only do I have the iPhone, not only do I have an iPhone, but now we used to use our cameras to take pictures of things. Now we have to be in the picture. Selfies. See, men are lovers of selves. That's
I got a question. I got a question from the chat room real quick here, Dr. Pivotor, and then I'm going to give everyone who called in tonight closing thoughts because I always like to do that. What about the ALMECS? Olmecas. Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
What is it? Spell it again.
OLMECS. Olmecas. Answer that one question. That's what I Am the Universe in the chat room is saying. She says, here is wisdom, the Olmecas, XI equals Mexico. Whatever. I don't know what that means, but they don't know that in the good old USA.
Well, the Olmecas, they were Mesoamericans, really. They claim that they were the earliest known civilization that would developed in the prehistoric people. First of all, there's a mistake already. So it's full of baloney because there's no such thing as prehistoric. History begins in the Garden of Eden. okay, physical human history. So any prehistoric, that's when they say to the kids, I have fun with them in Bible class, and I say, kids, when did the dinosaurs come about? And they say, oh, they're prehistoric. No, they're not before history. Okay, so you're no such thing as prehistoric.
But did
That's
dinosaurs, Leroy brought that up too, real quick before I get to everyone here on the call line. I know the private caller from Singapore also wants to cue in. Gary, one final thought before we run out of time.
Well, maybe he wants to clean up his language.
All right. Dinosaurs. When did dinosaurs exist according to the Bible?
Sure, absolutely. And they also have fossils down in Texas with human footprints in the same footprint as the dinosaurs. So, which proves that dinosaurs roamed the earth not billions of years ago, but when the human species was on the earth. Okay, and you can go to the Creation Museum. The Jewish guy that nobody likes, Cantor, who's a very, very strong Christian Jew, and you can go to that website and look at the Creation Museum and the Gnome Project and those things, and you can learn some real science about the earth. You know, what they found out is, you know, all that evolution stuff, when Mount St. Helens went up, they found out that how the earth got layered after the disruption, back to science of creation and not the science of evolution. So were there people called the Olmecs? Well, somebody named them that, and somebody said they were prehistoric. So I don't know how they got here before history, but, you know, they must have... somebody's misdating, you know, like they used carbon dating, and they carbon dated a live zebra snail, and the live zebra snail said it was 1 million years old. You know, carbon date is selective to the materials around it to decompose and lead deposits. So, you know, we have to be careful with these things. There's no such thing as prehistoric. When were the dinosaurs created? The Bible says that God created the animals in the 7 days of creation. And yes, they were, and that's when they were created. What happened to the dinosaurs and why did they die out? Well, I believe it was the atmospheric change after the flood.
Well, there you go. That's very interesting.
Well, hey, let me ask you something. You say the flood. Are you talking about like when the ice age came and thawed out and all the lands were flooded? What are you talking about when you say the flood?
No, I'm talking about the global flood of that Noah speaks of, that Job speaks of. Job is the oldest book in the Bible. It's even older than Genesis, and Job speaks of the flood. Of the flood before Noah writes of it, but Job speaks of it in his book. Okay.
They actually located Noah's Ark in Siberia.
When Moses writes Genesis,
and they found out that was a hoax, Joe.
Who's a hoax?
Well, Noah's Ark was found in Siberia.
That thing they found in the Alps or whatever in Europe, they found out later on it was a damn hoax.
Well, the one they found up by the Russian border, they couldn't get to because the Russians ran them off. So they never got to discover what it was, but you could see it by satellite. Whatever it is in the ice there, which would be in the location of what would be Mount Ararat. But really, nobody's got to that spot. The Russians know what's there, but they're not letting anybody up in there.
Well, and why won't they let anybody there, Dr. Peter Ventura? Because it would destroy their entire religious beliefs.
It would destroy their government, of course. Of course. You know, Jesus Christ is the enemy of the free world. He's the enemy of he's the enemy of the so-called, you know, free world, you know, socialist economy and all that.
Hey, Ventura, I got a quick question for you.
All right,
yes,
real quick.
I mean, it's a simple question. It's a simple question. That's fine. Now, I know you believe in the Bible 100% and Christianity and all this stuff, but isn't it good if somebody just believes in something, whether it's a god or many gods like the Greeks or something? Believe in something to have a little bit of faith, as long as it ain't too far fetched. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the problem with that, Leroy. Here's the problem, and it's the same problem I had. You know, and I've studied quite a bit on the world religions. The problem is this: Jesus Christ made a truth statement, and he said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life." So that's like me telling you there's a sign down the street and it says the road's out, and you saying, well, I'll just believe it's in and drive off the cliff.
Well, and that's fine. And I understand your point of view of that because you believe in the Bible 100% and Christianity and everything else. But other people believe in different.
The question isn't that I believe it. The question is, why do I believe it? You see, is it just blind faith in a piece of paper that somebody wrote many years ago, or is there evidence for the belief and the proof of what I believe? That's the question. Do I believe? Is there real evidence? Is there archaeological evidence, cosmological evidence? Is there scientific evidence? Is there manuscript evidence? You see, it's not just a blind belief that, hey, I believe, somebody wrote it. Listen, in the first century, there were pseudepigraphical books written, hundreds of them, that claimed to be of the apostles that weren't even written by the apostles. So how do we arrive
Well,
at
yeah,
this
people are
point
going to fake things. Yeah, people are going to fake things, and that's gone back since, like I said earlier, the caveman days. I'll trade you this stone for this stone. Well, that stone might be fake, but people have been doing it ever since to get what they want. And they're going to continue to do it. They counterfeit money today to get what they want. But it's like I was trying to point to you, though. I mean, as long as people believe in something, maybe it's your God, maybe it's their God, and the faith and the religion and the good thoughts are all still there. Why should it matter? We're all free to believe what we believe. And like I was telling Joe, his interpretation, Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're free. Listen, we're all free to believe what we want to believe. Any man's free to go to hell. You can believe anything you want to believe. The problem is just believing anything. The problem is believe the truth. So we need to search out the truth and not just believe. The man who cuts a log out of a tree and carves it into an eagle and bows down and says, "You're my God now," he isn't getting to heaven on that. Because why? Because the evidence says no. See, Jesus Christ said, "I'm the way, the truth, and life." In order to say it's okay to believe anything else, you have to disprove what Jesus said. First disprove that, then it's okay for me to believe in something else. But he made a truth claim.
But people around 40 million years before Jesus Christ lived, what did they believe in?
The evidence is that his tomb is empty. And after his resurrection, there was eyewitness accounts. Even Josephus has written about him in the secular and other secular historians. So it's not just about the reality of it is not believe whatever you want to believe. Hey, you can believe whatever you want to believe. This is America. I'm not going to force you to believe what I believe. You believe whatever you want. You're free. God gave man free will. You can reject the truth or you could live in the truth. But you ought to find out what is
that's the truth in your opinion. That's the truth in your opinion by a book what you believe in. And I'm not saying I don't believe in the Bible. I'm questioning it. That's totally different.
Yeah. Well, and listen, you have a right to question it. But here's the problem. If you're going to question it, then go to the evidence and find out whether the evidence supports
You're right.
it or it doesn't.
I'm glad you said that. Evidence says people have been here 40 million years before the Bible was built.
No,
so why did it take 40 million
That's
years?
What science says.
Yes, it does.
Science says it.
Even if you use carbon dating and it's off by a million years.
My friend,
carbon dating's off by
millions of years.
Millions, but not 40 million.
For a snail.
But not 40 million. That's what I'm getting at.
Listen, carbon dating.
It's a known fact the Earth was one big continent at one time. Well, one big mass of land. It was called Pangea.
All right.
Okay, that's a fact. Okay. You can look at the map today and see where the continents separate.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I believe it
so
was,
people were spread out all over the place.
Listen, the Bible talks about how the Earth worked in the Garden of Eden. It didn't rain. It missed it. It missed it because it was a superconductor heated furnace until the tectonic plates were broken. Well, when did they get broken? And the land masses shift. Because the Great Pyramid
and that's up for debate. Was it caused by an asteroid, or was it caused by this? Was it caused by that?
Well, the history says it's not. Everything's not uniformitarian. That's the problem. You see, so it requires. It's like evolution, okay, and a reverse engineering. Some things are just facts. I mean, science is telling us the Earth is millions and millions of years old, and the sun is so big, and that the sun is decreasing in size every year. But if you take the amount that they're saying is decreasing and multiply it by 40 million years, the Earth would be in the center of the sun.
Well, and I agree with you on that. I mean, the sun is actually getting hotter in time. And that's what stars do. They get hotter and redder until they burn out. But I forgot the point I was going to make now.
All right, everybody.
Talking about
listen,
the sun.
I've got other. Hang on. I got to give people some closing thoughts here that are on the phone line, and I'll go down the line, including Dr. Peter Ventura. But let's bring the private caller on first, closing thoughts, and I'll go up the line. Everybody's got to really respect the time here because they'll cut us off. So everyone get 1 minute of closing thoughts because I got a bunch of callers here. Go ahead, private caller. Take 1 minute to have your closing thoughts. Go ahead, sir. Singapore.
Sure.
Go ahead.
First of all, I have objection to that guy said this Muslim from Singapore. First of all, you don't know me, who I am, and I'm not a Muslim for your record. And I was reading an article said a Saudi monument to Allah erected at the World Trade Center is a Saudi Arabian candy, a monument inscribed with the words, "There is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the Prophet." If this was Jesus or the cross, the Muslim would sue. So that was the thing, and it says on Arabic, "La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah." By saying that doesn't make me a Muslim. For your record.
Okay, all right, and thank you for respecting the time because I want to give everyone their final thoughts at the end here, because that's what's important here, because that's what this show is about.
If anybody has
a
question, go ahead and question me. Anybody has a doubt, go ahead, question me, and I answer you.
No, I appreciate that, my friend from Singapore. I do appreciate that, but they're going to cut me off, and I want to make sure all the callers get at least 1 minute to make their closing thoughts. Go ahead, Mandela Khan. You get 1 minute. 1 minute. That's it, my friend. Go ahead.
All right, good. I have to reject all that satanic white magic of lies. I'll put it that way. Because here's what I'm going to prove to you again. And I don't have to ask no question. I'm telling you the truth. Y'all got wars that were started that from the Civil War to the Revolutionary War, and it does not compare to a 50-year war on drugs that don't have no end, don't have no military, no aircraft carriers, no guns. It's ideologically open-ended, and you're saying that you're going to keep on having this war on drugs until what? What a damn joke. Second is the war on terrorism. Another ideological bad, no aircraft, ideological war, no aircraft carriers, no stealth bombers, no submarines, no Black Hawk helicopters, and no surface-to-air missiles, but ideologically against a people. Now, if you lay the map of the world out and see exactly and precisely who is affected by this, don't you tell me that this is not a concoction of the illegal alien European invaders. Why? Because ain't none of these atrocities happening in the European Union. There's none of these jump-out squads, nation invasions, home jackings, nation jackings. It's only happening where the poppy, where the cocoa leaf, where the oil, where the coltan, where the rubber, the diamonds, the silver, and none of that is in Europe. So don't tell me that you're honoring some common law of a constitution. What you're doing is being pirates, and you're just jumping out, taking shit that you think you can just take because we don't have the weapons y'all got. And I'm saying I'm talking about you know that I don't know nobody.
All right, Mandela Khan, 20 seconds. Come on now.
You don't know nobody in Colombia with a stealth bomber. You don't know nobody in Africa with a surface-to-air missile that can hit anywhere on the planet, right? That's only locked into a certain minority of this white satanic magic of lies because weapons are made for everybody or weapons are made for nobody. And that's what I'm going to leave it at,
okay,
right?
Mandela Khan. All right, thank you, Mandela Khan. I appreciate it. Bitbanker, you want to have a thought here real quick here? 1 minute, please.
Yeah, carbon dating is unreliable and inaccurate. Carbon-12 and carbon-14, their half-lives are about 6,000 years. It's only considered accurate, which goes against what I just said, but considered accurate for 8 half-lives, 40 or 50,000 years. Mm-hmm. But let alone the standards themselves for determining anything are made by man in the 40s or 50s or something. So the whole thing you can throw right out the window. But as far as Bezos' divorce, I don't want to spill the beans here, and I don't want you to do it either. But I know how Bezos can keep all his money, and all I want is 10%. That's it.
Jeff Bozo from Amazon. That's right. Leroy,
That's right.
and then of course, Dr. Peter Ventura. We'll get Leroy. Go ahead. You two. The two other callers hung up, so I guess they're out the window. Go ahead, Leroy, my friend. Go ahead.
Yeah, the dude from Amazon and his wife split up after 25 years of marriage. Oh man, I bet they're glad there wasn't no prenup for future monies in that marriage. But she'll be well off, and I'm going to tell her right now, if you're listening, I'm available. I won't want half. I only want just like $10 million maybe. But anyway, Mandela Khan made the statement that he shouldn't have to answer no questions, and I'm going to go back to what I said before. If you firmly believe something is truth, then you should have them truths backed up by facts, which therefore you could answer questions with. And that's what I mean. He's got a great idea. I got to give it to him. I mean, live and let live and everything else like that. It'd be awesome if we could do that. Everything from Mother Earth should be free. Well, that's great, but who's going to pay these people that want to get paid to dig the oil up to refine it so you can drive your car? You can't go out to a cotton field, pick the cotton, and put it on your body. It has to be refined and made into clothes. Who's going to pay them workers? And that's where it all got started in the first place. There's nothing free in this world. You have to work for it. The only thing free is the air you breathe. And we'll probably be taxed on that here soon enough, so it's not get carried away with that. But I've never said I didn't believe in the Bible. I said I questioned the Bible, and it's only right and only human for me to do so. I mean, we should question everything we see and touch and hear. And it's up to the people trying to preach the stuff to, just like I said to Mentelicon, to prove us otherwise. So, I mean, and as Bitbanker said, the carbon dating thing, to get back on a more scientific level, I heard it was accurate up to 20,000 years. So if they're saying something 60 million years old, 20,000 years is, nothing. It's the tip of a sharpest pencil you could ever think. And that's the timeline according to the full length of the pencil. So, I mean, carbon dating is not very accurate, but when you're talking millions and millions of years, 20,000 years doesn't matter much. And the humans have been on this earth a long time. What did we preach? What did we learn from? And what did we do back then? All crazy things. Gods of the oceans, gods of thunder, and everything else. So you can't say all them people wrong just because a book was written 3,000 years later. All right,
20 seconds, Leroy. 20 seconds, please.
All right. But the thing is there a God? I believe there's a God. I really, deep down inside, I do. But was his son here 2019 years ago and had this book written? I got to be convinced a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? That's all. I'm done.
Okay, well, the Earth has been here for actually 6,000 years. We're almost to the 7,000 years. 7 is the number of completion in the Bible. Whether you believe it or not, that's fine. But every knee will bow when Jesus returns, and it's up to you.
The pyramids are over 5,000 years old, Joe.
That doesn't surpass 6,000 years. So anyway, right. Dr. Peter Ventura, go ahead. Closing thoughts. We got 2 minutes. Go ahead.
The gentleman who came on, when I first came onto the program and he was talking about Allah and that, I thought he was coming from a Muslim perspective, and I apologize to you, sir, about not for your foul language, but I apologize to you for assuming your religion when I heard the conversation, because I kind of tuned in the middle of that thing. And so, and he's right what he said, the Christians should be up in arms about that. Leroy, love you. Always good to hear from you. Medelicon, have a good night. God bless you all. Jesus Christ loves you. And if you want to know what I'm saying is true and the Bible's correct, all you have to do is ask God. Say, God, please reveal your son, Jesus Christ, to me. And if he doesn't, then, follow Medelicon or somebody else.
Well, Dr. Peter Ventura, that's a good point, and I want to thank you for joining the program. And we're going to talk about cults and world religion on this show, and we're going to bring on probably next week or the week after on Thursday. Dr. Peter Ventura and I have spoken about this. He's going to bring some pastors on, And we're going to listen to different viewpoints. The Uranta books, the Book of Thomas, all these books that weren't added to the Bible. And we're going to bring theological scripture and proof to the table, okay? And these are flat earth people who believe the earth is flat also. I always tell them jump off the edge and prove it's wrong, and then I get sarcastic remarks. Well, if the earth is flat, why isn't the moon flat? I mean, you can look up in
why
the sky.
Why is the water here?
Why, you look up in the sky and you see the moon is round during a full moon. So what are you telling me? That's just one disc in the sky? I mean, come on. It's all nonsense. But you got to have faith, like Dr. Peter Ventura said. You got to have faith first. And if you have no faith, look, how many of you have been on your deathbed and seen death? Well, those of you who know me, I survived 2 murder attempts in my life. I almost bled to death once when my neck was slashed open. I laid there on my deathbed, and I was told I was going to die. Second time was in 2005